All right, today we're going to go over some quick wrist exercises to help condition and strengthen our wrists for things like bridges and handstands. Just like everything, it's helpful to have your wrists a little bit warmed up before we start doing anything when we're putting body weight into them and working on any of our strengthening. So that can be as simple as doing some wrist circles in the air. So we're going to do a couple with our fingers spread out nice and wide. Switch directions. All right, keep doing circles. Make little fists. So our fists are together, thumbs on the outside. Trying to circle those wrists. Feels a little bit different. Might feel a little bit more of a stretch in your forearm. And go the other way. All right, interlace our fingers together. Roll out your wrists with your palms together. And switch directions. And we're going to take it into a wave. And reverse. Do the wave. When it feels a little weird, you have to think about it a little bit more. And then we'll move on to some of our wrist circles. So for these, we're going to do these on all fours, starting with our wrists right underneath our shoulders, palms down, fingers pointing forwards. We're going to try to make some nice big circles leaning over our wrists and our palm. So you're trying to distribute the weight over all four corners of your palm here. If this feels like a lot of weight in your hands, you can take your knees a little closer to your hands so you've got more weight in your legs as you're doing these circles. And we'll do 3 in each direction, and then we're going to start moving around our fingers. So go ahead and switch directions. Still have hands in the same spot. We just change the direction of our circles. Now we're going to keep doing circles, but flipping our hands. So fingers are now pointing in towards each other, so it's like you've got bulldog arms. I'm going to try to keep arms nice and straight. 3 big circles this way. 3, 2, last one. Switch directions. You're trying to keep your whole palm on the floor. Don't let it float up as you're circling. Now we're going to flip fingers towards the outside. So now we have our sea lion hands. Same thing, 3 circles in each direction. 3, 2, 1. Switch directions. 3, 2, and 1. And last one's fingers are going to rotate all the way back towards our knees. You can't crank your hand all the way back. It's fine as long as they're generally pointing backwards. It's a different angle that we're trying to get. More circles here. These ones are usually a little bit trickier, so go ahead and take your knees real close to your fingers if they're feeling really tough. And switch directions. Nice big circles the other way. Still trying to keep your palm and all your fingers on the floor. And we're going to go ahead and flip our hands over. So now palms are facing up. Still trying to keep my shoulders stacked on top of my wrists. And this is a little bit more of a stretch in your wrists. So knees can come closer to your hands if you need these to be easier. We're going to do our circles with our palms up. 3 in each direction, just like that last round. Switch directions. And we're going to do fingers toward the outside, palms still up. This is our awkward sea line. 3-ish circles here. Switch directions. Going a little slower if these ones are a little trickier. And then last ones we'll do fingers towards the inside, awkward bulldog. So palms up, fingers in. Doing our circles. You can have as much weight in your legs and your feet as you need to make these feel gentler on your wrists. Switch directions. And go ahead and sit back for just a second. Anywhere that's comfortable, give them a couple circles in the air. No body weight. Let some of that tension out For our last round of conditioning, we're going to do some different type of wrist push-ups. So this is really nice conditioning for hand balancers or bridges because we're going to have our wrist at that kind of 90-degree angle position and make it a little stronger while we're there. So coming back to our all fours position, we're going to keep our fingers on the ground, but start to lift your wrist and your palm. So we're coming up onto the first knuckle of all of our fingers. Your thumb might lift up a little bit. That's okay. You don't have to worry about too much about that guy. Then we're going to slowly lower our palm down. So we're lifting up with control and lowering nice and slow. So we don't want the lift to be all the work and relax, crumple to the floor. The lifting is working and the lowering is working. And if this is feeling really easy, you can lean more of your body weight into your hands to make them harder. Folks who do these very often, really hardcore hand balancers, can do them in a plank. I'm not even there yet. I like doing them on my knees. If these are feeling really hard and you can't even get your palm off the ground, take your hands close to your knees, sit back in your feet. So it's a little easier to lift your palm. But we want this to feel relatively challenging for 10 reps. Not that you'll be totally shot and can do more than 10, but I want it to feel a little bit of a work to lift your wrists up. So once you've done 10, you can sit back, give your wrists a little shake, a little break for a moment before we move on to our finger push-ups. So the first ones we did were just our palms. This next one we're going to do palm and fingers, coming up onto a little tent with our fingers, and then lowering our palm back down. So we're going to be pushing into our palm, pushing into our fingertips. It's like you're clawing the floor. The fingers are staying nice and straight, and then dropping our palm. 10 times. And just like with our wrist push-ups, you can really regulate the difficulty by leaning a little bit more forwards, more weight into your hands, or sitting your hips back, a little less weight in your hands. And once you've done 10 of these guys, and 10 of our regular push-ups, all of our different wrist circles, your wrist should be in real great shape to start doing some handstands or some bridges.